Welcome back, and yes, it's true, I'm never buying crypto again. I am done. It's one big scam. At least that's what my thesis is now that we're at the beginning of 2026. And as I've been explaining, and you can see right here on the Bitcoin halving chart, we are rotating into the bear market. And guys, just look at the Wayback Machine for January of 2022. Many of the top cryptos that you see here in the altcoin space were higher one full cycle ago, 4 years ago, than they are today. Cardano was higher, Solana was higher, XRP, XRP was obviously lower, but that's because of a lot of other issues. Terra Luna was significantly higher, Polkadot, Avalanche, and more. And in today's video, I'm going to be explaining why now that we're in 2026 and I trade the market that's in front of me, not the market that I want, not the market that's going to be next year or in the next cycle or the cycle after that or 2 cycles ago. We're trading the market in front of us today. And so we have been laying out since the middle of 2025 right here on the channel that the bull cycle is effectively coming to an end. And now we're 6 months later, and that has proven to be very true. And so now that we're in 2026, what is my thesis? Because a lot of people have been asking Cryptoviser, when are you buying back into the market? And the answer may be never. And this has to do with a lot of what we're going to be talking about with the banks taking over, the shilling, the constant grifting, and the scams that are clear, price manipulation, and more. And we're hearing from some of the largest projects out here that they just continue to dilute their own cryptos while the shillers continue to say, no, buy, we're going higher. And many of these cryptos, by the way, in this cycle have not reached their all-time record highs and or barely reached their all-time highs and then came right back down, including Ethereum. Bitcoin's really the only major crypto that has outperformed and held steady. And so let's get into today's video. I'm never buying crypto again. I am done with the crypto markets. Don't forget to give this video a free thumbs up. Also, do me a favor, become a subscriber completely for free by clicking the subscribe button down below. We've been ahead of this market literally since the middle of 2025. And while a lot of the market is still in denial phase of where the cycle is and where crypto is and going, we have been right on target. Let's start today's video right here. Now, again, this is all just my thesis and my analysis of the market. You can disagree, and that's totally fine. But again, we have been so right on this market, right? I mean, incredibly correct. In January of 2022, I posted a video that I'm selling my Cardano. And let's just be clear, right? It was right around this time that I have this price chart up, but I just pulled up some dates to show you the historical context of where some of these cryptos are. And you can see Cardano was at $1.15. This entire cycle, besides all the grifting, all the promises, all of this and all of that, right? Not only did Cardano create another cryptocurrency and another blockchain called Midnight, which obviously takes market share away from Cardano, which is bearish for Cardano. But in fact, Cardano has not even reached the all-time record high, let alone the price that we sold at. And we've been right ahead of the curve, right? So we're one cycle later and Cardano has not recovered. Like many other cryptos. I mean, even Solana, people say, well, Cryptoviser, you were wrong about Solana. You said when Solana was $8 at the FTX collapse that it was going to zero. I mean, $8 is effectively zero. But beyond that, Solana did go back up to the all-time record high, $250, $260. And then it's been in a downward spiral ever since. And the market, the grifters, the shillers continue to say, buy Solana, I'm so bullish on Solana, right? Meanwhile, Solana is literally lower than when I turned bearish in the previous cycle in January. You can see here, Solana was at $140. And so what does that tell you about where this cycle is versus last cycle? I mean, you could see on the Bitcoin chart here that every cycle, we have diminishing returns, meaning the percentage gains that we see in the market are less than the previous cycle. Now, this is the Bitcoin chart. But again, I mean, if you even look at Ethereum hit its all-time record high around $5,000 this cycle, went a little bit above that, and then came back down. And everybody keeps saying, but Cryptoviser, Wall Street is coming. Wall Street is here. It's happening. What is happening? Wall Street bought in the middle of 2025, and besides Tom Lee's Bitmine Emergent Technologies, no companies effectively have been buying more Ethereum. And meanwhile, the whales, the longtime holders of Ethereum, have been selling into the market. The same thing is going on with MicroStrategy. And like I've been explaining, once the banks got involved, for me, it's kind of like a big red flag that the cycle's over. Because do you really think that the banks want to pump your coin to make you rich? Do you really think that the banks are going to use any cryptos besides Bitcoin and Ethereum? Maybe Solana, but they haven't even used that, contrary to popular belief, right? There's some tokenization testing and piloting going on. But again, from the previous cycle, almost every major crypto in the 2021 cycle got major partnerships with some of the large companies. None of those companies are using those blockchains anymore. None of them. Absolutely none of them. And that brings us to the shilling, right? We have XRP, the XRP community. This entire cycle, 2025, 2024 cycle, now in 2026, XRP has done nothing, right? People are going to say, but Cryptoviser, they won the SEC lawsuit. No. Ripple won the SEC lawsuit. And Ripple is expanding their business lines, which is true. But they're not integrating XRP. They haven't integrated XRP. And in fact, they continue to sell XRP on the open market. So we have XRP Ripple selling their XRP on the open market, right? We have MicroStrategy selling their own stock on the open market to buy Bitcoin. It's accretion. It's accretive Bitcoin per share value, Cryptoviser. It's like, no, this is all financial bullshit, AKA gibberish. And for me, it's really frustrating because I really believed in a lot of these coins this cycle. And, we just have to trade the market in front of us. They did not perform the way that most people thought. And in fact, many of the newer coins, like Hyperliquid, right? Oh, Hyperliquid, this is going to be the new big thing. Hyperliquid announces monthly token distributions for their team. So now their co-founder announced in Discord that 1.2 million tokens from Hyperliquid Labs will be unstaked and distributed to the team on January 6th. Moving forward, distributions, if any, will take place on the 6th of the month. So if they're unlocking these coins, unstaking these coins and distributing them, what do you think they're going to do with these coins? They're going to sell them. Same thing happened with Solana. Same thing happened with Sui. Same thing happened with all the newer blockchains that popped up this cycle. And again, Stellar, 21 cents right now when I'm recording this at the beginning of 2026. And if we look in the previous cycle at where Stellar was, 26 cents. So we're one full cycle later, and Stellar is lower than where we were at the beginning of 2022. And, there's a lot to say that we're at the same point in the cycle in terms of days since the halving, maybe a little bit later. But guys, what major company has started using cryptocurrencies or these public blockchains? None of them. Absolutely none of them. Like I said, some are doing testing and piloting. But again, we see JP Morgan, we see PayPal, all of these, even Coinbase. Coinbase, I have an article I'm going to show you. Sorry, not even an article. I have a video to show you that Coinbase, which swore at the beginning of the 2024-2025 Bitcoin cycle that they were not going to launch their own coin. There's no need to. We're never going to launch a coin. We have our own blockchain. Well, now, Jesse Pollack, who works at Coinbase, and he's the Base blockchain builder, he says that Base is exploring a network token as a powerful lever for decentralization, warning that without it, Base won't be able to fulfill our mission of building a global economy. They can't use stablecoins. They can't use Bitcoin. They can't use Ethereum. They have to create their own coin. Again, it's just shilling, right? They said they weren't going to do it, and now they're going to do it. And so, as I've explained in this cycle, right, there have been a lot of trades to be made. MicroStrategy, inverse MicroStrategy trades, the BitMine, some of the Ethereum trades, some of the counter Ethereum trades. But the more money has been made, not in crypto this cycle, but in derivatives, in non-crypto products, right? In perpetual futures, which FTX was famously known for manipulating the price of coins. So we had the launch of perpetual futures on Coinbase, launch of perpetual futures on Gemini, on Kraken, on Binance, and we had the banks launching crypto trading, and there's custody services at most of these financial institutions now, and they created their own blockchains, and JP Morgan has their own coin, and PayPal has their own stable coin, and SoFi has their own stable coin. And by the way, Ripple has their own stable coin as well. They could have used XRP, but they're using their own stable coin, and they're selling the XRP. And so what is the real true investment benefit to buying into cryptocurrency? In my view, in 2026, there is zero. And by the way, maybe later down the road, I'm going to change my opinion, because that's what we do on this channel, right? As an investor, we have constantly changed our portfolio thesis. But in 2026, all I see is downward trending markets, right? And bulls and the shillers continuing to say, oh my God, it's happening, guys. MicroStrategy just bought more Bitcoin. Like it's the first time it's ever happened. And they haven't just been doing this forever, right? And they're like, oh my God, this is so bullish. And remember what I've been saying. If everything is bullish, nothing is actually bullish. And I said the same thing at the beginning of 2022 when I said that the market was in rotation into a bear market. When I sold a lot of my crypto into the downtrending, lower liquidity. And by the way, so I want you guys to see the prices. This is in January of 2022, right? When I called the top of the market, Bitcoin was 42,000, Ethereum was 3,100. And by June, Bitcoin was $21,000. It got cut in half. This was June of the end of June, basically almost July of 2022. So just in the first 6 months of 2022, the same part of the cycle that we're in today, Bitcoin halved. Ethereum was $3,100 and it was $1,200. So it got cut by about 60 to 70%. XRP was 35 cents in June. Where was XRP in January? 75 cents. Again, another almost 70% cut. Cardano, again, remember, the shillers and the grifters were saying, oh, Cryptoviser's an idiot. Go unsubscribe from his channel and tell him he's an asshole for selling his Cardano. Meanwhile, when I sold in the dollar range, right, at the beginning of 2022, we were at $1.17. By June, Cardano was under 50 cents. So we saw massive reductions in the prices. And by the way, most of these prices, like I showed you, are lower now than they were in January of 2022, a full cycle ago. Look at Solana, $140 at the beginning of 2022. And by the middle of 2022, it was $40. And so a lot of people are like, Cryptoviser, but we're not in a bear market. We have Wall Street is here. It's like, guys, Wall Street has been here. And just because Wall Street's buying crypto and just because they have ETFs and are getting involved doesn't mean that we're going to go up forever. In fact, the fact that Wall Street is here tells me that these returns from previous cycles that everybody's expecting, these percentage gains, they're done. Because Wall Street doesn't make money when you're making money in crypto. Wall Street makes money when you're trading on their markets. And so where is Wall Street pushed and not just Wall Street, but Coinbase also. But Coinbase is part of Wall Street now because they're a publicly traded company. Perpetual futures. And this, by the way, affects the price of crypto, but it doesn't actually hold the crypto itself. You can trade perpetual futures all you want, and it doesn't impact the price of the crypto. And so where's the real value coming from in crypto is the fundamental use cases, the large-scale integrations of these blockchains and payment systems. But guess what? We're not seeing that either. None of these cryptos this cycle, not a single one. Contrary, I mean, even MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin doesn't count because they're not doing anything with the Bitcoin. I just answered a comment on my channel the other day about, oh, well, I'm hearing things that MicroStrategy is working with the banks to get Bitcoin-backed loans. First of all, the banks don't need MicroStrategy and they don't need MicroStrategy's Bitcoin. The banks don't need MicroStrategy and they don't need Bitcoin for loans, period. The fact that the MicroStrategy crowd is pushing this narrative, by the way, They're pushing it saying MicroStrategy is trying to work out a deal with the banks, meaning MicroStrategy needs the banks. But I thought Bitcoin was supposed to bank the unbanked. But if they're going to the banks to get or create these Bitcoin-backed loans, that explains that they actually need the banks. But the banks don't need them. Guys, the banks have unlimited liquidity. I mean, even at the end of 2025, there was all this discussion about, oh, there's a bank collapsing, and maybe it's JP Morgan for a $30 billion silver margin call. And it's like, if you guys really think that JP Morgan is going to get margin called for $30 billion and they don't have it, you're missing the whole point of this whole financial system. JP Morgan is not going anywhere. And they have unlimited money, unlimited access to as much money as they want from the Federal Reserve. They're the largest bank in the US and potentially the world. They're not at all in danger of collapse. MicroStrategy, on the other hand, is. All the treasury companies definitely have that risk, but the banks don't. And so if you hear this narrative, you have to think of where it's come. Oh, it's MicroStrategy bulls that are pushing it. And they're making people believe that MicroStrategy is a better investment than Bitcoin, even though the founder of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, is literally telling you, don't buy our stock, just buy the Bitcoin. We'll pump Bitcoin for you and keep the price elevated, but don't buy our stock because we're going to continue to dilute it. And the bulls just ignore that. They're like, no, I'm going to buy MicroStrategy. They have accretive dilution. They're working with the banks. Guys, this is all grifting. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. And I do believe this is part of the reason that we have not seen in the 2025 cycle. By the way, we have seen massive gains in most of these cryptos in 2023 into 2024 and at the end of 2024. We didn't see a lot of that in 2025, but that doesn't mean that we didn't have it. And it also tells me that nobody's using these coins. The only real innovation that we've seen is these treasury companies popping up, and they popped up at the end of the cycle, but they don't do anything. They don't create any value. They're not generating cash flow. And this is a huge issue. And so outside of these mega ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe Solana, what do the rest of them do? XRP does nothing. Solana doesn't really do anything. Dogecoin doesn't do anything, and there's been no major, even memeing about it this cycle. Cardano created another blockchain, which is taking market share away from Cardano. Bitcoin, okay, we're not going to talk about Bitcoin Cash. Hyperliquid is starting to release coins, obviously to be sold onto the market, and it's going to suck liquidity away as the market is downtrending, right? And so there's a big possibility. I mean, number one, we're at lower prices today in many of these cryptos than we were one cycle ago. Number two, we haven't seen look at some of these coins. You don't even know what they are. Terra Luna, no, what was Terra Luna? Polygon was $2.11. Polygon today is 10 cents, a 90+% drop. The crypto.com coin, I don't even want to look at that. The DAI stable coin, nobody uses it. Litecoin was $131. That was like the high of this 2025 cycle. And so the reason we're talking about all of this is to really understand where we are today. Maybe by the end of 2026, my entire thesis will change. Maybe by the end of 2026, I'm going to be saying buy Bitcoin, buy MicroStrategy, buy Bitmine Immersion Technologies, buy Ethereum. There's a very high likelihood that could happen. But I'm not anticipating that, right? Because I'm seeing a lot of people posting saying, well, I'm going to hold and wait till this point, or, well, let's buy at this point. It's like, no, you're still trading the market that you want. Even if you're not buying in or selling anything, or you're just doing nothing and just waiting, you're still not trading the market in front of you. You're still anticipating these other things. I'm looking at the market and saying, this is all going to go down further, much further, because we haven't even seen capitulation yet. When we do see capitulation, whenever that may be, then we'll know we're getting closer to the bottom of the market. But we're not there just yet. And then we have DeFi, right, which was a big thing in the previous cycle. Look, TVL, total value locked. There's no more TVL today than there was in the previous cycle. rewards for staking, which was a big conversation about, oh, this is going to change the world. Everyone's going to use staking. Nobody's using it anymore. And not only is nobody really using staking, the reward percentages are significantly down, under 3%. You can hold a stable coin and make more in percentage, in interest, than you can in staking. And so what real value is crypto bringing to the investment ecosystem? What is going to get Wall Street and Wall Street financial advisors to really say, you know what, this is the future. This is what is being used. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing the grifting, right? I thought that Coinbase is going to create their own blockchain. They don't need a coin. Now they need a coin. Why do they need a coin? They're not going to be able to fulfill their mission of building a global economy. Maybe that means that they're not doing it. Maybe that means that Base is not going to build a global economy, right? Because it's all about value extraction from the ecosystem. That's pretty much all we've seen this cycle. And to me, again, this tells me that we're going much lower in the markets because all of the value extraction that we've seen, and there hasn't been value injection, right? Like, where is all the technologies that we've been promised? Ethereum is still talking about fixing the gas situation, fixing the scalability situation. Polygon is significantly down on its price valuation. It's because nobody's really using these major blockchains. So why do you need a scaling solution when you could just use the JP Morgan blockchain, right? And again, I haven't seen any explanation on why I should use Ethereum versus use JP Morgan blockchain. People are going to say, but Cryptoviser, it's because it's a bank. Why would you want to use a bank blockchain? It's like, why is MicroStrategy trying to suck up to JP Morgan to create Bitcoin-backed loans? Why are you cheering on BlackRock when BlackRock is buying Bitcoin, or MicroStrategy is diluting their shareholders to buy more Bitcoin? What is the difference? What is the difference between using JP Morgan's chain, which is going to be probably more secure, probably a lot safer, definitely going to be secured from hacks and thefts, versus using Bitcoin or Ethereum, which have serious, scalability and security risk issues that are ongoing. And again, I'm not saying that these technologies are not good. And I'm not saying that I'm never going to buy crypto again. But at this point in the cycle, I don't see any value in putting any resources into anything crypto. In fact, I'm still on the side to bet against where the market is currently, or bet against the market going higher and believe that it's going lower. Again, from the beginning of 2022 until the middle of 2022, in just the first 6 months, Bitcoin got cut in half. And this wasn't even the bottom of the market. It was not even the bottom, and it got cut in half. Ethereum got cut by 60 or 70% in just the first 6 months of the year. And so I'm still trading the market that's in front of me. Many people out there in the markets are still trading the market that they want, saying, well, I'm just going to wait for the next pump to get out, or I'm going to wait for the next dump and then I'm going to buy more. And it's like, I'm not even anticipating what's going to occur and when I'm going to make a move. I'm waiting to see the market bottom out first. And we are not even there. And this is why I keep saying on this channel that, in my opinion, the bulls that keep saying buy the dip and the ones that are buying the dips, they are prolonging the downtrend in the market. The reason from the top of the market to the bottom of the market in previous cycles took a year is because everybody stayed bullish. I remember in the previous cycle, within 30, 60, 90 days from selling some of my crypto, I was ready to buy back in. But I that was because I was anticipating, oh, that's the bottom, that's the bottom. And it's like, no. We will know when the bottom is. And we knew when the bottom was because FTX collapsed. Everybody was freaking out about it. And so when FTX collapsed, and all the influencers, all the YouTubers, everybody and their mother was freaking out, saying, well, let's have a podcast and talk about whether Binance is going down next. Is Grayscale going down next? Is that going to be the one? What were we doing on this channel? We were buying the market up because we knew, right? Look at November 13th of 2022. Bitcoin, 16,000. Ethereum, $1,200. XRP, 35 cents. Cardano, 35 cents. Polygon, 88 cents. It was still higher than it is today. Solana, $13. That was capitulation. And so I don't know when capitulation is going to be. Again, I do think it's going to be approximately 1 year after the top of the market, which was effectively in October of 2025, meaning the bottom is going to happen in October of 2026. And so we still have a long way down. And so you could spend this whole year waiting and anticipating and looking at the market and waiting for that capitulation, or you can invest. And so that brings us to, what am I investing in? If I've exited crypto forever and I'm never buying crypto again, at least right now, my thesis is I'm not buying crypto again, ever, potentially, unless we see massive bottoming out, number one. Number two, real value, and real integrations, enough of the dilution and the massive selling from insiders, which is happening in a lot of these different coins. And I believe that once these people realize that we are rotating into a bear market, which, I mean, based on things like Hyperliquid talking about them unstaking these coins, unlocking these coins and giving them to the team, AKA so they can sell it, this spiral is already underway. They already realize the market is going down and it may not come back up. I mean, Hyperliquid, it's a DEX, right? Who gives a okay? Like, really, who gives a? You can use Aster, you can use Coinbase for all of these things that you're doing on Hyperliquid. And so when they realize this, and I think that a lot of these ecosystems in crypto have and started to realize this, and this is where you're going to start to see accelerated downtrend, is because not only do we have less buying liquidity in the market and just general less liquidity in trading, but on top of that, you have the insiders who realize, we are rotating into a bear market. We're not getting this extended cycle like everybody's talking about. We're not getting a banana zone like everyone's talking about. Then they're going to start selling their coins, which clearly they're already doing. So now you have a down spiral, lack of liquidity, lack of buying, and you have selling going on and more accelerated selling. That is going to create that downtrend that we saw in 2022 in the first half of the year when the market completely dumped. And granted, some of that was combined with collapses of Voyager, Celsius, Terra Luna, and all of that. But we're hearing MicroStrategy may be removed from stock indices. Maybe they're going to get their credit rating dropped. There's also other Bitcoin and Ethereum treasury companies that are already selling their coins. Some of them may be forced to liquidate. Some of them may go bankrupt. And it's not just in crypto. It's also in AI and some other sectors as well. But where am I investing? Number one, I'm betting against the market going higher. I believe the market's going to go lower. And we've been talking about this, by the way, since we called the top of the market. Now, I've significantly slowed down on that because we have come down so precipitously already in the last 6 months of 2025. But I do think that there is more downtrend. And so every pump that we see in Bitcoin and MicroStrategy and the Bitcoin and Ethereum treasury companies, if they're not already down 90%, they're all going to be down 90%. We know that. And so that's where the money's going. The money's also going in other sectors of the economy and into the stock market. Because remember what I've said, people made more money in stocks and these derivatives like perpetuals and futures and calls and puts and ETFs, inverse ETFs, leveraged ETFs. And by the way, I have a whole video on leveraged ETFs that it's probably out by the time you're watching this video. So make sure you guys are subscribed. That way you can, number one, you don't miss these new videos. And also go check out that video on leveraged ETFs because this is where the money was made. And that's what Wall Street wants. This is what JP Morgan wants. All of the major companies, they want to make money. And they don't make money when Bitcoin is going up. They don't make money when Ethereum or XRP or Hyperliquid are going up. They make money when they are trading on derivative markets. They make money when you have stocks involved. And that's where the money is flowing. And so a lot of people missed it. They missed these massive returns. They missed the downside of MicroStrategy because they kept saying, no, it's bullish, it's bullish. Bitcoin ETFs are here. BlackRock is here. BlackRock is buying. It's like, well, BlackRock's not buying. They're buying for their ETF, but their ETF is their customers. It's not BlackRock like just allocating their money every single week. And MicroStrategy's not really buying either. They're diluting their shareholders in order to buy assets. They're creating all these preferred shares that they're on the hook for billions of dollars in dividends a year so that they could buy more Bitcoin. But they're not creating any value. They're not creating any new technologies. They're not even really investing in upgrading the network to be quantum resistant. So is that actual value enhancement? And is how the prices go up? Prices don't just go up because you want them to go up. And Wall Street, they don't give a where the prices go up as long as they're making money. And that is why the stock market is where the money is. And this is one of the reasons that I've exited crypto forever. At least that's my thesis right now. In the future, maybe it's going to change. Obviously, this is the Cryptoviser channel. We haven't made it to the Stockvisor channel yet. But yeah, we're going to keep covering this. But I do think that it's important to understand like the historical context of where we were at the beginning of 2022 into the middle of 2022. I mean, just in the first 6 months of the year, 50% drop. And there's still people today that are saying, oh no, Cryptoviser, we're already at the bottom of the market. This is the bottom of the market. It's like, we are not at the bottom of the market. Not even close. When those people that are saying that we're at the bottom of the market start to say, oh, wait, we have further down to go, then we probably hit the bottom. Because that's what happened at the FTX collapse. All these bulls were saying, no, we're definitely not at the bottom of the market. We're definitely at the bottom of the market all year, all 2022. They're like, don't sell your crypto. We're going higher. We're going higher. And then they flipped. When FTX collapsed, they all became bears. And they were all fearful. And none of them bought. We were buying on this channel. None of them bought. They were having Twitter spaces on a daily basis, 24 hours a day. Oh my God, I think Grayscale is going to have to liquidate. They're going to go down next. It's definitely going to happen. Oh my God, Binance is going down. Coinbase is going to go down. And it was like, no, that's the bottom of the market, guys. Y'all have created the bottom of the market by your sentiment, right? So that's my viewpoint on the market, right? We have to look for these little clues. Why is Hyperliquid unstaking their coins and already, pumping these coins into the ecosystem? Why is Coinbase saying that they can't be successful if they don't have their own coin? To me, it seems like just more grift, more value extraction. And the more value they're extracting from these coins, the less likely the mega coins that actually do have some fundamental value, they can't pump, they can't go higher because the value is being extracted to do whatever they're doing. Build more blockchains, build more other cryptos so that they can extract from that as well. But what has really been created this cycle from crypto? Essentially nothing. But Cryptoviser, the Bitcoin-backed loans, it's like, so MicroStrategy needs the banks. So what happened to the whole conversation about Bitcoin being anti-bank and banking the unbanked? If you need the banks don't need you. And the banks definitely don't need Bitcoin. Anyway, that's my viewpoint. Maybe you guys disagree. I'd love to know why you disagree down below. And, give me data, right? Because based on the previous cycle, which everybody loves to talk about, the first 6 months of 2022 were really downtrending in the Bitcoin and crypto markets. And I believe the beginning half of 2026, Tom Lee even capitulated and said, first half of 2026 is not going to look that good. And so if that means these are the prices that we're at the beginning of 2026, where are we going to be in the middle of 2026? I think it's much lower. And so my point is I'm out, and I'm probably going to be not getting back in anytime soon. See you guys on the next video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Hit subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and as always, thanks for watching.